Well, the numbers are in and we need to go over the sales month of May. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. So let's split things up between the new car market and the used car market to explain what happened in the sales month of May. So starting with the new car market, it honestly wasn't all that exciting. Basically, you saw a month-over-month decline when it came to new car sales, but year-over-year, sales are up by a substantial margin. And so although in the short term, things don't look all that good, in the long term, things are definitely improving when it comes to new car sales. Now, outside of volume, when it comes to overall profitability with new cars, it is still declining. And the reason why it's still declining is because transaction prices are declining. The reason why those are declining is because dealers and manufacturers are having to discount new cars more on average. And this is a trend that looks like it's going to continue into the future. But just understand that this isn't universal because there are certain markets within the US where there aren't really any discounts to be had. And then there are definitely certain models where there are not discounts to be had, where they're actually the exact opposite, where prices are increasing. I mean, the Ford Bronco is a good example. Ford is increasing the pricing on the Bronco. They actually already did. I mean, Bronco Raptors, for example, I think they had a price increase of like $10,000. And so what this basically looks like is if a car is not in demand right now, you're going to see big dealer discounts and possibly manufacturer discounts. And then if a car is in high demand, you're obviously not going to see discounts on it. And on top of not seeing discounts, you're most likely going to see the price increase on that car as time goes on. And so it's this interesting like split in the market where certain vehicles are increasing in price at the same time that other vehicles are decreasing in price. And they're all new cars, and it's the same car market. It's pretty crazy. And now quickly diving into the used car market, this is where things get quite a bit more fascinating in my personal opinion, because the used car market still has a supply shortage, and it looks like it is not getting any better. And this is, again, the exact opposite of what we have in the new car market. With new cars, there's excess supply, especially with certain manufacturers and especially with certain models, whereas with used cars, there's just not enough supply to go around. And so this is actually why we're starting to see these price declines with wholesale values, because with the mass that we have of new cars, that is obviously going to put some downward pressure on those values, because if you can buy a brand new car with some big discounts today, then why would you go and buy the used one, for example? And so I see that this trend of wholesale values with used cars declining is probably going to continue, but the trend with the retail values holding firm is also probably going to continue, because again, when you have tight supply, the vehicles that are available, especially the nice ones, like they're going to sell for all of the money, the desirable pieces. And this is exactly what I'm seeing. I'm seeing vehicles that you would consider, desirable based on, maybe options that they have, the condition that they're in, or the miles that they have, selling for all the money. And then their counterparts that aren't as nice, those ones are just sitting on the market. And I think those are the ones that are really pulling down those wholesale values. And so it's kind of like just a weird situation overall. Is it going to get any better anytime soon? I don't know. At this point, your guess is as good as mine. But what I do want to say is that, unless there's just a massive amount of used cars thrown at the market, this is going to be a situation that's going to take quite some time to remedy. So pulling everything together, let's talk about what this means for car dealers moving forward. First off, when it comes to the new car market, well, because availability just continues to improve as the months go by, this means that, pricing is going to continue to have to go down on certain models and certain brands, right, to make it so that people are willing to buy the cars with the availability that we have on the market. And that's exactly what we're seeing. I mean, I'm starting to see dealers, engage in pricing wars, which again is something that we haven't seen since prior to the pandemic. But something to note is it'll be interesting to see how this whole situation unfolds with dealers, because I mentioned in a previous video that dealers are in a weird situation right now where, because of how expensive new cars are, because of the price increases, they're having to spend so much more money on flooring charges for these new cars that, the whole, profitability scheme that they had going on prior to the pandemic that worked by, having a lot of cars on the lot and just basically focusing on volume and not necessarily making the most amount on every single car transaction, it might not work out as well in today's world where you have higher interest rates and you have cars that are just more expensive. Like it's so much more expensive to run a dealership today than what it was prior to the pandemic. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of transitions over the course of the next few months and into the next year. I think that, there is potential that, you're going to see more dealership buyouts where smaller, dealer groups and, independently family owned dealers could potentially decide to sell out just because it's just not as profitable of a business as it used to be. And moving on from that to the used car market, this is a situation that's also pretty interesting because with the lack of availability with used cars and with the wholesale declines, it's kind of putting dealers in a situation where they're somewhat scared to purchase used cars because they don't know where their values are going to go. But at the same time, there's just not enough inventory out there. And so it's like, how many cars do I buy? What do I buy? All that kind of stuff. It's really hard to actually, manage used cars in today's market if you're someone a used car manager at a dealership. And so again, this is another trend. It'll be interesting to see what happens into the future, but there's quite a bit that dealers have to navigate in this market moving forward. And, I think that May, although not a super exciting month because we basically are just seeing slight sales declines, I think is, possibly a pivotal moment in the car market where things are going in a different direction, where dealers are either going to have to adapt or, maybe they're just going to, like I said, sell out and leave the car business altogether because it's not good like it used to be. I'll see you.